Alright everyone, how you guys doing? Welcome to Apple Weekly number 71, the show where I cover everything Apple. Before we get started, I just want to make one thing clear. This is no MacBook replacement. You ain't no MVP replacement. Thought I'd put that out there because there are going to be a few of you who are going to point that out for sure. So what's happened this week? A lot has happened. First of all, you can't have missed this one. Samsung versus Apple. Let me just give you a breakdown within 30 seconds. Samsung is screwed. They have to pay $1 billion. The 9-man jury decided in favour of Apple, and before the verdict came out, you kind of got the feeling in the atmosphere that Apple are going to win this, because Apple's lawyer had a huge smile on his face just before the judge kind of called out all the different allegations and what they were going to do about it. So Samsung is fined. Apple, they have to pay Samsung a big fat $0. I can't really say much on the case myself or give you my thoughts on it, simply because I've never owned a Samsung device. I haven't heard about any details as to what the specifics were in terms of what was presented. I believe there were email exchanged between Samsung's execs and how they were trying to say, yeah, let's do what Apple's doing, let's copy this feature or copy that feature. That was one of the evidence. But then again, on the other hand, while all the allegations kind of pointed towards Samsung copying Apple, the UK courts, the German courts, the South Korean courts, where Apple tried to sue Samsung again, the courts kind of threw it out the door, whereas this is the only case where the United States have come out and said, Samsung, get your act together and pay Apple $1 billion for your stuff. The fanboy part of me would say, yeah, Samsung is copying Apple and you know you have to do this, but at the same time, as I have kind of no previous experience with them or what the case specifics were, which probably most of us don't, it's hard to make a call on it. And of course, after that, Tim Cook addressed the nation, or addressed the Apple staff at Cupertino, and said this is a great victory, and it's a bit like the talk at Braveheart. That's what happened at Apple HQ pretty much. Next up, iPhone 5. These are the latest images of the iPhone 5, and these are coming from credible sources who correctly pointed out that the iPad 3 would be thicker than the iPad 2, and they also, you know, said that the white iPhone was in production and it was going to come out, look exactly the same. Lo and behold, we've seen an iPhone 4S or a 4 which came in the colour white, and the same source is now claiming these are the parts of the iPhone 5. As previous rumours have suggested, it's got a unibody kind of build to it. The screen is a tiny bit taller, but the main things are kind of in the back where the antenna is located, where the camera sensor is located, and most importantly, this NFC chip, which has been found in previous iOS 6 builds. So yes, Apple is trying to bring over this whole passbook thing where you can pay for your hotels, your concert tickets, whatever it is, and hopefully now credit and debit cards, you can just pay it through your phone. The most up-to-date information now is that there are going to be 2 separate events coming in the next 2 months. The first one is going to be the iPhone 5 launch, and that really needs an event of its own, and there's going to be a second event following that in October, which has been confirmed by John Gruber, who kind of knows what he's talking about. He's been credible as a credible source in the past, and yeah, it's solid information, and Jim from The Loop also confirmed this. AT&T and Verizon have got employee blackout dates at the end of September, the last 10 days, so it does kind of make it obvious, hint hint, iPhone 5 is being launched, because I can't see a Samsung phone being launched and them having queues outside the door. Just saying, don't hate. And if you're like myself, who's sick and tired of internal part leaks for the iPhone 5, this will probably make you a bit more happier, or at least it done to me anyway. These are new packaging, or new packaging materials for the iPhone 5, and I'm not sure if they're real or fake, but some blogs have pointed out it's fake because the next iPhone 5 is going to be called the new iPhone, like as the iPad 3. It's really called the new iPad, and are they going to call the iPhone the new iPhone? Who knows, but we're a few weeks away, so just hang on there, I guess. And if you happen to be sick of all the iPhone stuff and you just want to hear about the iPod Touch, because September's coming and this is a time where Apple holds its music event, well, you'll be glad to know there is indeed a leak on it, and it's on your screen. This is apparently the new iPod Touch case. While you really can't tell much from a case, some of the positions or the alignment of where the holes are, for example, you know, you've got a bigger flash, most probably for where you have low light photography situations, like is the case with the iPhone 4S, and a mystery hole on the bottom left. They can't really say what that is, or heck, is this just some sort of case made up just for the sake of a rumour. And in terms of the smaller iPad, which is to be named the iPad mini, and the iPod Nano is supposedly getting a major refresh as well, where it's going to have a Wi-Fi antenna in it, so you can download all your music tracks and stuff from the cloud directly on it, as well as just kind of changes, making it a bit taller. Bringing back the click wheel would just be magic, I guess, for me anyway. So what's happening with the next generation Apple TV? Nothing is happening with the next generation Apple TV. It's not going to be likely in the near term. That is at least according to one analyst who kind of had talks with Apple execs. While Apple can build most probably the best user interface, the main thing about the TV, and this is what the previous rumours and previous stories have linked back to, is they are in deep negotiations with all these television, HBO, ABC and all these various television networks to get them signed up to Apple TV. That includes talking about pricing, which is most probably what they're negotiating about because they can't get the right deal. And unfortunately this means, you know, we just have to wait longer. And as what Apple said to this analyst, you know, we want to provide a great customer experience and we'll only enter the market once we feel that it's going to add value to the customer. And so it's not coming this year for all of you who have it on your Christmas wish list. Maybe next year, eh? And last but not least, as Tim Cook, the man himself, said, 2012 is going to be a meaty, mammoth year, or something along those lines. He may just be correct, because not only is an iPhone 5 a redesigned coming in the next couple of weeks, not only is an iPad mini in the works, not only is a redesign of the iPod Touch, or a refresh of the iPod Touch, and the iPod Nano redesigned, there's iMacs and 13-inch Retina Macbook Pros on the horizon too. So the first one, in terms of the iMac, a lot of resellers have just not been stocking up on iMacs, or have been sold out and not getting any deliveries for the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is unusual and usually points that Apple is going to be refreshing them come pretty much soon. And then again, that comes back to the evidence where the iMac hasn't been updated in over a year and a refresh is due. We've seen from sources in the past on Mac OS 10 builds where coding has been found for new iMacs, but they've just not been released for X, Y or Z reason, probably due to screens or, you know, displays or whatever it is. I've checked a few websites, Amazon.com, Best Buy, and there's a whole post up on Mac Rumours where people are reporting stock shortages in different parts of the world, so it kind of is starting to add up. Whereas on the other hand, new MacBook Pros, 13-inch specifically, are going to be released in October according to CNET, who report Apple have given orders to start production of Retina displays, 2560 by 1600 displays, and Samsung, LG and another manufacturer is building or putting these together. In terms of pricing, what is going to happen with the 13-inch MacBook Pros? Here's just my thought from observing the 15-inch Retina. The low-end 15-inch Retina and the high-end MacBook Pro 15-inch both cost the same price, which is £1,799 UK pounds. If we were to go by the same logic for the 13-inch MacBook Pros, the current high-end 13-inch MacBook Pro costs £1,249. It's fair to say that the Retina, when it comes out, the low-end one is going to start from £1,249. Given there are going to be some disadvantages, I cannot see Apple putting in 256 custom storage on it. It's going to be 128. It's just the way Apple's just going to say you have to add it yourself and pay more for it. In terms of RAM, I'm really not 100% sure. If this was being released next year in 2013, I would say it's a given it's going to be at least 8 gigs or more. But this one makes me think it's probably just going to be 4 gigs to start off with for the low end model, and then come the high end model you can customise it a bit more. The Retina screen is going to be the only killer deal here. but when it comes to the actual specs, this processor, the RAM, the hard drive, the graphics, this is where the sacrifice really is going to be made for that $12.49 price point. And then of course you can customize it and give Apple more money. So these new 13-inch Retinas, which I know a lot of you have been waiting for, are going to be released in October. Hey, in a few weeks time, 6 to 8 weeks, and they should be dropping. They're currently in production and they're building more of these than they are for the 15-inch because of course the 13-inch is more appealing. A lot of consumers are, you know, 13-inch buyers. But do let me know in the comments below whether you're waiting for a Retina 13-inch. What is the main thing that you need? Is the screen all that? I guess it is, that's why you've waited out in it. Of course, along with the Retina, there's not going to be any optical drive, it's going to be more thinner, easier to carry about, and that is one of the amazing things about the 15-inch Retina. But what kind of specs are you hoping for? What is the maximum you're willing to spend on a 13-inch Retina? Leave it in the comments below. But guys, I hope you liked this video. Be sure to like and favourite it, and leave your comments below if you thought this video was worth it. If not, abuse and leave a thumbs down, I guess. But you can join me on iglaswegian.com. Links to my Twitter and Facebook are on there should you wish to follow me on there. And I shall see you next week. Cheers guys! There's a pocket for pretty much anything. Google Nexus 7? Check. Apple iPad? Check. Amazon Kindle Reader? Check. Let me ask you this question. Can you carry all this plus more? Only in an iGear garment. Are you annoyed with getting your earphones tangled? Well, now there's no excuse. Buy today at iGear.com, shipping worldwide. We've been featured on the British Forces News, the Herald, the Journal, the Gadget Show Live, and the list continues.